So what do you think the impact was on the victim when you threatened to kill him?
I was mostly under the influence when I said that. I didn't mean it. I don't want to kill anybody. It's just a lot was
Okay, the
going on.
question again, sir, is what do you think the impact was on the victim?
He was very upset and scared, and I get that.
Okay.
But I can't speak for the victim. I'm me. I understand what he's feeling, and I'm in here.
It's called empathy. It's called empathy.
Another violation of a protection order parole hearing. We have seen a lot of these lately, or maybe it's just that we're paying attention to them after what happened in Illinois. These cases can't be taken more seriously, in my opinion. Let's jump in and listen to this hearing, and I'll unpack it at the end.
267467. He is serving a sentence of 3 years to serve for violation of probation for the underlying violation of protective order. As of today, records reflect a eligibility date, June 15, 2024. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the following programs. No programs have been completed as of today. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system score, the offender's overall score for recidivity falls in the high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you should be granted parole. You may begin.
The year and a half I've been in jail, I learned a lot. I dealt with a lot. I definitely learned my lesson. I just want to go home. I have a lot of good support system back at home.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Pretty much just that I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to go home. I learned my lesson. I'm on the right path when I do go home. I have a job waiting for me. I have a home. Other than that, it's pretty much up to you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Mr. Gray Sinclair, we're going to ask you some questions, and then at the end of the questioning, we'll make a determination about your parole for today.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Dargan will begin with the questioning this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good. So help me understand with these violation of probation or protective orders. Was it because of the issue of maybe your substance abuse too? You think that had something to do with some of your issues?
I had a role in it, yes.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about when you are released, right? But it looks like in the past that you've had issues with substance abuse, right? And
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I did have a problem back in the like a year ago that related me here, but as of right now, I have no reason or want to do anything drugs related because I know how I act, I know how I am, and when I am home, I do go to programs, I do go to AA, I do go to NA, anything that's helpful. Like I said, I have a support group at home system that'll help me stay clean. I just don't want to come back to jail. To be honest with you, this is not for me. I've dealt with a lot of stuff in here, and it's very scary.
Okay.
So drugs is not for me, and I will not touch it again. I know that's probably what people hear a lot, but I know what I want, and I sure as hell don't want to be here. Excuse my language, but that's just how I feel. And being in jail has scared me and pretty much set me straight to the right path.
Okay, so you think that you have a better understanding on programming and other assistance when you are released, as far as maybe NA, AA, a CCAR coach, so to speak?
Yes, I have plenty of support out when I get out. I don't have any, like I said, any reason to go back to use. If it's gonna get me in trouble, I don't want it. I can't afford it. And, I'm very adamant about staying clean. And I have sober friends and they've been clean for years and I don't plan on coming back.
Okay. What other, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So being a gay male in jail doesn't help. It's not very, I should say, I live in fear every day. But I learned to respect myself and stay to myself. I just don't want to come back here. So even if drugs was put in front of my face, I'd laugh at it. It's like, are you serious? I don't want it. I don't need it.
Okay. And where do you think that you need any additional help when you are released? Prior to
Mental
what you
health.
did? Yeah, so we try to protect your privacy as far as either mental health or medical issues. We read a lot of information that's supplied to us, but so we're live streaming, so we usually don't get involved in some of your personal issues, so
I understand.
I just wanted you to be aware of that. Okay.
I'm far from perfect, sir. I don't expect anyone to think that I am, but I know when I did wrong, and I know that I'm not going to live that life again or come back here. I just want to go home and do what I need to do to stay out and stay sober.
Okay. The other thing that was a little concerning was the DRs. You want to speak to that at all? It just looked like, most of them were just refusing housing.
Correct. Yes. Because like I said, I am a homosexual and I was uncomfortable in my cells, and I tried to do the channels, talk to lieutenants, talk to captains, and all they kept telling me, your two options, either wait it out or refuse housing. So that's why I refuse housing.
Yeah, so I read, in the summary what you talked about, as far as refusing housing and what the issue was. So I understand that. So thank you very much for answering my questions this morning. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dargan. So, Mr. Grayson Clare, you were under the influence of methamphetamine when you committed these more recent offenses, the violation of protective order specifically?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And you began using methamphetamine at the age of 40?
Something around there. Yes. 39, 40. Yes.
Okay.
It was to my ex-husband.
Okay.
Yeah. I can go
Speak-
further into if you'd like. I mean, I just, like I said,
Well,
it's.
Let me ask a couple more questions, and then maybe it'll round it out. So you have you're a 4 for substance abuse. You know what that means, right? That you score very high for risk. And you have not participated in any kind of addiction treatment services while you've been in the facility.
I'm on the wait list.
Okay. Have
but
you
I
done? Go ahead. So you're on a wait list.
Yes. Then that's as far as I can get. I asked when's the soonest I can get in. They said that there's no room for the next group because I know I have to do voices and domestic violence. But they told me that I'm on the waiting list. As soon as one available comes, it'll be available to me. But I have done domestic violence out in the world and completed it. And I have no problem doing it again.
Okay. So let's just backtrack a little bit. Have you done any type of addiction services treatment in the community or in the Department of Corrections previously?
Before I got locked up, I was in Wheeler Clinic. Like I said, I did domestic violence. It was a 12-week program, and I completed it. It was in Bristol, Connecticut.
Okay, but you haven't done anything with drug treatment?
It's not out on the street, no. But like I said, I'm on the waiting list here.
Okay. Okay, that's good to hear. And so I know you've mentioned that you have a lot of support and your release plan is you want to go to Florida. Sounds like you've already investigated the availability of mental health services there. What do you think, how do you think you'll manage your substance abuse? Because that seems to be, along with your mental health, they go hand in hand. A lot of your offenses are committed under the influence of some kind of substance. So how do you think you'll manage your mental health, substance abuse?
I want to change people, places, and things. That's why I'm moving back to Florida. I don't need to be around people. Like I said, I'm almost 43 years old. I'm kind of getting too old for this, and I'm getting tired of being put in jail regardless of my fault or someone else's. I take full responsibility for my actions, and I'm going to do what it takes to stay clean and stay away from people that aren't.
So what do you think you need to be doing to remain in the community? Because you're here today for a violation of protective order and a violation of probation, and you were only on probation for 8 months, which is a very short amount of time. And I would think too that knowing what we know about probation and parole, they're not quick to violate you before they've tried some interventions.
Right.
So what do you think will help you?
A good support system. Like I said, people, places, and things. Changing people, places, and things. I have no need or desire to do drugs. I don't want to do drugs. A lot of my issues had to do with my ex-husband, and listening to what he said, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm my own person. I blame myself for what I've done, and I'm taking full responsibility. But I need to do what I need to do to stay sober, and I will do that. And I'm going through a divorce, and I don't want to be around that anymore.
Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack you again. Quick question, a follow-up question for you. You say, I'm gonna do what I need to do to remain sober. What is it that you need to do? You mentioned people, places, and things, and we know what the board knows what that means. But what does it mean to you? What are you going to do to maintain your sobriety? Because there's lots of drugs in Florida, and
Right.
I'm concerned that you have not addressed some of what we call the triggers that lead to drug use, relapse.
Once I get into Florida, I have a few people I can call that can set up my appointments for the drug and alcohol outpatient. Like I said, they Aspire Healthcare. It's in Orlando. I was there before, and they had amazing help, amazing treatment. Any kind of groups I needed, or if I felt like I had a trigger, I can call the hotline. Right now, I don't feel I have any triggers because it's not needed. I don't want to, but I'm willing, and I want to go to treatment. I want to go to outpatient treatment just to stay sober and have a sponsor or have someone that can help me if I need it.
So, Mr. Grayson Clare, we also want you to remain sober, and we want you to have the best opportunity to remain sober so you can participate in any kind of services that'll will help you remain sober and help you also with your mental health needs. Because we do see that, that's also part of what your needs are.
I'm 100%. I take my medications every day. I have no problem taking it, so that's not an issue for me.
Can I ask you a quick question? So when I read the evaluation, there's some indication that you don't always want to meet with the therapist. Why is that?
Sometimes I can't talk right on point because if it's a female, it may sound weird, but sometimes I'm more comfortable with a male than I am with a female because there's personal things that I can't talk about with a female and I can with a male, and they can relate. The last therapist that I had was in Southington, Hot Brook Counseling in Southington. Her name was Shannon, and she was amazing. Like, I did one-on-one therapy with her, but unfortunately, if I leave, I can't have her, so I have to find someone. that I'm comfortable with. But it takes me a few weeks, maybe a month to get comfortable with that therapist. That doesn't mean I'm gonna stop going. I'm just gonna continue working with her or him, to get better. I know I have a mental health issue. I know I have a lot of, I'm an addict. I'm always gonna be an addict. But sometimes when enough is enough, I want it all. I want all the help I can get.
And we want you to be sober and be comfortable with the treatment that's helping you with your mental health needs and with addiction needs. And that is also what we want, because you have 24 arrests. There's 4 for violation of a protective order alone, which is of great concern in terms of your risk in the community, the risk to the community, and any victims, whether it's current or future. The fact that you struggle with relationships and managing your addiction in the community, which seems to be a catalyst for your criminal conduct. So you mentioned also that you did the domestic violence program at Wheeler Clinic. You did the 12-week program.
Yes, I have, and I completed it.
Okay, perfect. That's wonderful. So when you were taking the program, what types of things resonated with you in terms of how to better manage relationships? Where you see some struggles that you might have in relationships that you need to focus a little bit better on how to take care of?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did have an issue with trust. So they basically taught me how to, trust slowly, and then I work my way up. I don't want a relationship. I dealt with enough issues in the last 9 years to say, you know what, I don't want any more. I'm done. No, I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm here because of my decisions, but also it's the other person's too. It's a 50-50 situation. And I'm done. After this divorce, I don't want another relationship. I need to focus on me.
Can you think of some of the skills that they talked about in the domestic violence program that you may have been able to better use?
I tried to walk away.
Or avoid. Okay.
I'm sorry. I did try to walk away. They told me about coping skills. Once you've calmed down, to come back and try to fix the situation. I tried that. That didn't work. My other half had a lot of, he knew how to push my buttons. Like I said, I'm not blaming anybody. This is my own responsibility. This is my own actions that I did, and I take full responsibility for it. But like I said, after the divorce, I don't need. I just want to stay single. I need to focus on me. My mom died in January, and I've been dealing with that. I have no support besides the people that I have now. Trying to help me get through it. Because she's in another state. I couldn't do anything but talk on the phone. The last words were, "I love you too," but then she died the next day. So I'm dealing with a lot, and I'm on right medication now. I know my scores are high, and I know that this is concerning, but I assure you, I'm done. I don't want this anymore.
Okay.
I
You
cry
mentioned.
myself to sleep. I apologize.
Okay. So, Mr. Grayson Claire, you've mentioned a number of times that you have a lot of support in Florida. Who do you have for support in Florida, and why do you consider them to be people that will help you with
Because
what
they
you
know my
need?
history. His name is Bobby Tedder. He's a close friend of mine. He knows my history with, my past relationships, and he's also the person I can call if I need to talk to. Also, Michael Morosco, who is my sponsor. Same thing. He knows my history. He knows my relationships. He knows it's not just one person. It's always 50-50. So it's two people has an argument. Sometimes I could be the aggressor, and sometimes he could be the aggressor. But like I said, I'm not pointing any fingers.
Okay. All right. All right. So I don't have any additional questions. Ms. Turner, do you have questions for Mr. Grayson Claire?
I do. So, sir, I've been listening really closely to your conversation with my colleagues and your opening statement. I I understand the DRs. I understand the wait list, though you sabotage yourself in getting into programs with your DRs. And, you know, there's a sense about you of desperation to be granted early release. And yet, and I appreciate that you are addressing your mental health needs. What stood out for me in your opening statement, it was a lot about why you wanted to be granted and not why you deserve to be granted. You said nothing by way of remorse for your conduct on probation and your decision to violate the court's protective order, and said really nothing by way of being responsible for, you know, what amounts to a 24-year criminal history. So who is this friend of yours? That's who you propose as your sponsor in Florida?
Yes, that's who I'm going to live with.
Well, certainly if you go out end of sentence, that makes sense. Is this your ex-husband?
No. Michael
I'm
Morosco
sorry?
is just a friend. Michael
Okay.
Morosco, he's just a
Okay,
friend.
because at one point when you were, you know, your mental health evaluation indicated you wanted to parole to your ex-husband in Florida. That's not the case?
No, it was the case at one point, but now it's not. Michael Morosco
Okay.
is the one I'm sponsoring to. But ma'am, I would like to say is I do take full responsibility for my actions.
Well, it's good to hear you say it.
I'm
It's good
not
to hear
good
you
with
say it.
words.
But
really
your
not.
50-50 allegation about the domestic, I mean, you were the one with the protective order against you.
Right.
And those aren't issued unless there's a need determined by the court to, in this case, prohibit you from engaging in violent and abusive acts. So I'm wondering how you fill your time there in the facility, because you don't have a job and you're not in programs. You haven't pursued your GED. So what are you doing with your days?
Right now, I work out. I am on the waiting list for everything. I have the request back at my cell to prove that. Like
I
said,
understand that, but that is not about how you fill your days.
no, I know that. I understand. Like I said, I work out every day. I watch TV. I read. Pretty much keep myself busy. Not really much you can do in the block, but work out, listen to music, read, watch TV.
So what do you think the impact was on the victim when you threatened to kill him?
I was mostly under the influence when I said that. I didn't mean it. I don't want to kill anybody. It's just a lot was
Okay, the
going on.
question again, sir, is what do you think the impact was on the victim?
He was very upset and scared,
Uh-huh.
and I get that.
Okay.
But I can't speak for the victim. I'm me. You know, I understand what he's feeling, and I'm in here.
It's
because
called
of my
empathy. It's
Correct.
called empathy. I'm asking you to think about the impact your actions have on the victim of your crime. So you said upset and scared. You know, the victim doesn't know that you don't intend to follow through on your words. You have to be accountable for your words, sir.
I understand
That's
that.
why we have threatening statutes in our state. So, you say over and over again that you are, you know, adamant you're not going back to drug use. I'm interested in understanding, what do you think brought you to becoming an addict?
Being homeless at one point. I follow. I'm not. Like I said, I'm bad with words. I don't know what to say. All I'm saying is that I'm 100% responsible for every action I did, I said, or violent I did. I don't want it anymore. I just want.
I understand that you don't want it, and that you don't identify any triggers right now, but part of, you know, remaining clean and sober is understanding why you became an addict to begin with. And you've done treatment in the past, as you said, in Orlando, and I'm trying to understand what you know to be the reasons that you turn to substances.
Family history, my mom, she was an alcoholic. My brothers were alcoholics. I guess addict family members. I don't know really the reason. It just did. You know, and that's
Okay, well, do you agree that it would be important to understand what underlies your substance use in order to get a handle on it so that it doesn't bring you back to substance abuse? Like, I'm wondering if you self-medicated to deal with trauma or feelings from childhood, perhaps.
I've had stuff medicated to numb myself so I didn't have to deal. But
Okay.
as of right now, no, I don't plan on doing any of that anymore. I had lots of time to think myself. I had a lot of time.
Okay, Mr. Gray Leclerc, I understand that you have no intention of resuming drug use, but part of remaining clean and sober is to appreciate what it was that brought you to abusing substances so that you have addressed it and can put it in your past and have that awareness. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. I'm concerned for you, sir, because you have a long criminal history and you have a lot of issues, and you haven't been able to do any programs during this period of incarceration to prepare you to be successful going out on a flat sentence. You score out high for your risk to reoffend. You've been unsuccessful 4 out of 6 opportunities you've been afforded at community release. So we don't have a lot of solid to work from in terms of a decision to grant early release based on, concerns of public safety. So I just put that out there to frame our deliberations going forward. Thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Ms. Gray Leclerc, one further question. Do you have sober time in the community?
Yes,
What is the longest that you can recall?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. And what were you doing during that time that helped you remain sober?
Staying away from negativity, going to groups. I went to Rushford and Meriden for outpatient program for mental health and drug and drug and alcohol groups. Like it was PHP. I went to Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Okay.
I completed that twice. If I put my mind to it, I can do it. I just don't know what else to say. And I know I understand you guys' concern, but I don't need. I understand everyone's problem, feelings about what I've been through, but I've had a hard childhood. I was raped. I was this. I'm not making excuses. All I'm saying is I need help. Yes, and I need.
Okay, Mr. Gray Sinclair, I just don't want you to put too much of your very personal information out there. When was that period of 2.5 years of sobriety? How long ago was that?
2020, 2021, and early 2022.
And had you given some thought into why you relapsed?
Negativity, decision making by other people, my divorce, my relationship going sour. It's just I couldn't handle it all at one point, and that's when I did numb myself. But I realized other people's behaviors are not mine. My own behaviors are mine. It's hard to word things. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate you answering all our questions. We know that it can be difficult. So we are now going to hear from the Office of Victim Services. You can listen, but we ask that you not interrupt.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Ms. Hamlet Williams.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, panel. I do have a statement from the victim in the case, and it reads, I am writing to you to let you know the impact that the inmate has had on my family and myself. The inmate has had a lot of mental issues and I believe has come a long way from what I've heard. I have no objection for the inmate to be released early, but only if you guys accept the offer of letting him transfer everything down to Florida. I believe that would be the best option for him to succeed on parole and to succeed in life. When the inmate has been out and in my life, and I'm not innocent, but we are two toxic people around each other and cannot be around each other, and knowing our history, I believe it's best that he goes to Florida where he can succeed and lead a better life and stay out of trouble. I know that he has friends and an ex-husband that he'd be living with that would keep an eye on him so that he doesn't get in trouble. The impact on my life that he has had when around me has been somewhat detrimental. He doesn't know how to listen or calm down when he's asked, and that's due to the trauma that he has had in his entire life. The emotional and physical damage that has been done to me is quite hard. I am in therapy and have been in therapy for quite some time. Now I am working to better myself and try to get through the PTSD that has been caused from him and past relationships. And I look forward to hoping that he is out early and he can move forward with his life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hamlet-Williams, and thank you to the victim for providing that statement. It's actually very, very helpful. All right. So, Mr. Gray Sinclair, we will deliberate about your case and give you our answer in just a few moments. Thank you. Mr. Dargan,
So,
what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's important to listen to the victim impact statement because I had concerns, he was on probation at the time. Drug substance abuse score was high. He hasn't been able to avail himself of programming because of the DRs. He does have a flat sentence, but my concern was I had him denied because I thought he needed more work. I thought he needed more programming before he was released. I think his end of sentence is sometime in 2025.
October 2025.
I understand it's a flat sentence. He's not eligible until sometime in June this year. I wouldn't be against bringing him back if my other colleagues thought that was the best way to go as far as to get him in some programming. But I have concerns even listening to him as far as his past performance on probation. So that's kind of where I am. I'm more than happy to listen to my other two colleagues.
Thank you very much. Ms. Turner, what are you thinking?
I came in with this individual denied on paper. This is his 5th period of incarceration. At 42, he still scores out high for his risk to reoffend. 24 different arrests and no programming. And he is the subject of a standing criminal protective order into the year 2099. I would be willing to rehear Mr. Gray Leclerc in October, and with the recommendation that he complete domestic violence again, because even though he did it in the community, he's back on new offenses, having been arrested just 8 months after he began his 3-year sentence of probation. So I'd like to see domestic violence and at least tier 2.
Okay, all right. And I'm on the same page. I actually, listening to Mr. Gray Leclerc, I had him denied because he's seems to
Same page that
yeah,
way.
struggle with taking responsibility, struggle with appreciating his triggers and his addictions, and however, I think the victim's impact statement was insightful in terms of the needs of Mr. Grayson Clare, and I was also encouraged to hear Mr. Grayson Clare talk about that he was at one point able to maintain a significant period of time sober, and that he
Yes,
was
Madam
able
Chair.
to.
However, the time frame doesn't really add up, because in 2020 he was incarcerated. His offense was in January of that year. His probation began in May of 2021. And then in January of 2022, he's back. So I'm not really following that 2.5-year period as it lines up with the other facts. So I just wanted to offer that as a concern.
All right. So as I was going to say, following that, is that I do also appreciate that he was able to. I had not done the time frame on that, but I was encouraged also to hear that he was able to identify some of what his relapse triggers were at the time, what pushed him into that. I think it was helpful to hear how he could identify those, and that he was able to identify what level of treatment in the community provided him the greatest level of structure and support through that PPH program and the IOP program, and how that allowed him to remain in the community for some period of time. I didn't do the math on or go through to see how it actually fell into his criminal history. So with all that said, I would deny Mr. Grayson Clare parole today, but be also willing to rehear him. And I had 6 months also, so that's about October.
Yeah, and that was
I
to give him a year of supervision to help him transfer to Florida. I want to suggest to Mr. Gray LeClaire, when he comes back for his rehear, that he has a detailed release plan. I'd like to see something in writing about where he's going to get treatment, where he's going to, seek services, possible employment. And I'm not convinced that that there'll be a successful out-of-state transfer if he's only going to a friend's as opposed to a family member's residence. So that also sparked some concern with what the victim had said about wanting him to leave the state.
Right. There's no guarantee that we can ensure his transfer to Florida. That's really up to Florida to accept him.
Right. And it's a weak
Right.
position to be transferring to a friend's as opposed to a family member's.
Okay. Well,
So I had inadequate evidence of offender change, program participation, or institutional adjustment. I had those three. I don't know.
I'm sorry, what was the first one?
Inadequate evidence of offender change, and institutional program participation, or institutional adjustment. And with a rehear in November with the following as we speak. October.
With some sort of addiction services program, a refresher on the domestic violence program, which will certainly help him down the road, and a relapse prevention plan. Voices too. So hopefully you could be able to do all those programs, if not as many as possible. So in the matter of Robert Grayson Clare, inmate number 267467, I make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: inadequate institutional program participation and evidence of offender change, and poor institutional adjustment. There's also an agreement, a recommendation that Mr. Grayson Clare will come back for a rehear in 6 months, October 2024. And prior to that hearing, he will have participated in some level of addiction services, domestic violence, the Voices program and not obtain any more disciplinary reports. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did I miss anything?
No.
No? Okay. So, Mr. Sinclair, you heard all of that discussion, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure it's not the outcome you were hoping for today, but in truthful, you want to go to Florida, and participating in some programs will bolster your ability to go there and give you the best leg forward. Because really, you don't like being in jail, and we don't want you coming back.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck.
This concludes the hearing for Rockford Brady Clear 267467.
I don't know about you, but I got serious Dexter vibes from watching this hearing. Maybe it's like in the mannerisms, or there was something there that was just scaring me. It might have to do with how silent he was and how like calm, but knowing his record and hearing the victim and knowing how extensive and violent his record is. It's almost like seeing that, knowing that the anger is shimmering below the surface, and also in the idea that it did seem that he lacked the ability to feel empathy. It had to be like pulled out of him what to say. But Richard has his arrest record. Wait till I read this. 2017, but they kind of gave him a light sentence. It was 1 year jail, executed, suspended, 2/9/2018, we see his first violation of a protection order. He was sentenced to 12 months jail for that. 2/13/2018, that's 4 days later, there's violation of a protection order, and he was sentenced to 15 months jail. How it is that he has one on 2/9/2018 and 2/13/2018, I don't quite understand, but they are two different charges with two different sentences. Then we have 5/10/2019, violation of condition of release. We don't know what that is, but who knows? Maybe it could have been a protection order type of thing. Maybe he called his victim. I don't know. 1/15/2020, he has another violation of protection order, and the judge in this case finally gave him 5 years jail. Execution suspended after 6 months, probation 3 years. And it seems that he was given probation, or after so what it was is he got a 5-year sentence, but it was suspended after only serving 6 months. And he violated it on 9/21/2022. So it was revoked. And he was sentenced to 3 years in jail. So what we're seeing here, like, let's just be real. This man is dangerous. He can't help himself. I don't know if it's the same victim. He has a 2020 breach of peace and violation of protection order in Florida. I mean, can you imagine? It's scary. His victim came on and even said things like, oh, just have him go to Florida. And I'm sure the victim really wants him to be out of the state, but I wouldn't feel safe anywhere. you know, there are certain people that are just a danger. I can never understand it. It's like, are you really you're just going to obsess and obsess? See, when you get to the point where there's just no logic, where you're going to obsess and stalk and violate protection orders over and over and over and rot in prison, you think that person is really going to be safe to get out? You think that somehow they fixed their issue? That they're not going to go back? No, there's something very wrong and dangerous. And these things so often escalate. What we just saw in Illinois. But this is part of why we do this. I think seeing it in the flesh and realizing, like, yeah, certain people can seem a certain way or act a certain way, but I think I felt that anger brewing. And even hearing the statement from the victim, who knows what that triggered. But thank you, Richard, for the info. And with that,